Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. This week, Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer unpacks coal litigation fears, capital deployments into junior mining, and 2 coal IPPs that are not in the public interest. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, the coal industry has been warned not to go the same way as silicosis litigation with low-quality air. Tell us about this.
Yeah, it was very interesting at the Fossil Fuel Foundation. You know, you go to the Fossil Fuel Foundation to hear about coal, but I think they're becoming very realistic where they talk about the problems associated with burning coal, because this is a major issue in the world. It's around climate change, around air quality. And it was interesting, you know, that the former Director General of the Department of Energy, Nelisiwe Magubane, you know, she sounded a warning when people asked her for her views. She gave a fantastic presentation, but she was asked to expand on what the situation was. And she was saying, look, we've already had a lawsuit. Okay, it was air pollution underground in mines, but you can see how we are a litigious society. We've become very litigious. Now, there's the same sort of litigation risk in Mpumalanga, because, I mean, nowhere in the world are there so many coal-fired power stations packed together. You know, most of Eskom's 14 power stations are concentrated there. And people have been warning for a long time, you know, that the risk through emission to health is quite serious. And you can now see the warnings being given that, you know, the class action that we saw in mining might not be so isolated, because people could come forward and start, you know, claiming because of the health risk they have and because the ill health they've suffered over Eskom burning coal there and putting that emission into the air. And there were a lot of harsh comments made. I mean, they were talking about this allegedly killing thousands of people a year, and Eskom not complying, even though our pollution laws, air pollution laws, are laid down year after year. Eskom pleads for dispensation because they say, look, we can't comply. If we do comply, we've got to close this power station down. If we close this power station down, there's no, the lights won't go on. So you have that situation of we are so inextricably linked to coal that we're having to live with this. But she's warning that we better start moving away quite firmly, because you could have a lot of litigation.
Now, Aluwani Capital Partners Junior Mining Fund can look forward to the first close of capital acceptance.
Yes, I mean, that was interesting. We need backing of the juniors. But what was most fascinating about is that, you know, they're due to close soon. They want to have a period of taking in investment, and then they will close and they will be ready for an announcement. But they're talking about potentially 8 to 10 projects. And most of those junior projects, most of them are junior projects, not all of them, most of that investment will go into coal. Now, that's so ironic, because we've just heard that, you know, burning coal can create these problems. But what will happen is that these juniors, the vision that Aluwani has is that it's not going to sell to Eskom. Because as was raised at this Fossil Fuel Foundation, although the Western world is turning its back on coal, the ASEAN, that's, you know, India, China, Australia, they are opting for coal because they say we can clean the coal. Now, that is going to be a great thing if they can do it. People say the technology is already available, they should do it, and they're pleading with Eskom to do it. But what is happening is that the Aluwani sees a future in exporting coal. They see these juniors exporting through the Grindrod port, probably, and into China and India. So here you've got these little miners not really supplying the local, but taking advantage of that demand, which is outside the country, but still in coal, but in an ASEAN where they're saying we will have clean technology, we will clean up the coal. So I think that's a bit of an interesting situation there, where Eskom should suddenly say, come on, you know, let's clean up our act, because other people are doing it. And what is this technology they're using? Of course, there's always this fear that it will be very costly. And then what is the reason to burn coal? Because it's the cheapest to get the electricity. But if you're going to make sure you're using clean technology and there's no emissions going to there, is it going to lift the cost? And that is always this big sum game that they're having to play all the time. But I think that the new power stations coming up, you know, at Medupi and Kusile, they will have desulfurization, so they will be much cleaner operations, but it's the older ones that people are concerned about. And how do you retrofit that clean technology? Well, people say you can, so I think we're going to have to.
Okay. And UCT's Energy Research Centre says that government's planned IPPs, IPP coal plants could cost South Africa 20 billion rand, and says it's not in public interest.
Yeah, you see now people are fighting against coal here. You know, the universities are turning their back on coal, the researchers turning their back on coal. So now we have a situation where we could have had this independent power producer, two of them, the one in the Waterberg and the one is Thabametsi. What do you do when you translate Thabametsi? It means Waterberg. So it was in the Waterberg. And then we had, you know, the other one, Kanyisa, out in Mpumalanga. Both of them have been planned for a long time. You know, I would say many, many years they've been talking about this. But you can see that even had they gone ahead, you know, you'd probably have problems building up. I'm sure that with them not having gone ahead and this research being done, which gives the thumbs down for these two, you might find that this whole question of bulk energy coming from coal and IPPs, independent power producers, there might be a question mark over it again, particularly because it's coming a bit late, but perhaps fortunately for the investors that they don't run into a massive problem. It'll be interesting to see now whether, you know, it's part of the integrated energy plan, but is it actually going to go ahead against the background of all these studies saying, you know, it's a problem with health, problem with the competitiveness these days. You know, is it competitive? A lot of rethinking on coal. So, you know, our three topics today: coal, coal, coal. You can see that if you go into the ASEAN, there are opportunities there. If you supply to Eskom, they want Eskom to clean up their act, and will they then turn on the supply of coal as well? You know, with these litigants, when they turn, they turn. And we saw it with the silicosis. You know, those mine workers won the day. They got billions of rands, and that was a long time ago, and much harder to fight. Imagine if they start fighting now. I think they're going to be more powerful, and probably they're going to stop projects from going ahead. In the meantime, you know, this research coming through from Cape Town University is probably going to have a lot of people scratching their heads. Are we going to go ahead with this coal baseload IPP procurement program? What do we do about it? Because the demand for energy is not so huge at the moment. So the timing is also a problem. And, you know, investors, I noted when I went to Botswana, you know, a lot of the comment at the conference was that, look, we can't get funding for coal. If we mention coal, you know, certain funders say we've got a mandate, we can't go to coal. And the moment we mention sun and wind, oh, how much do you want? Oh, yes, no, we can give you more. So that's the attitude at the moment, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Thanks for speaking with us,
It's
Martin.
a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on South Africa's mining industry.